There is a moment, a sacred and silent moment, that exists just on the other side of the words you have been reading your entire life. There is a secret buried not in the tomb, but in the declaration that rolled the stone away forever. We have stood at the foot of the cross, looking up, believing we understood the event. But what if we have missed the very point of power? What if the ultimate teaching was not in the suffering, but in the realization that announced the end of all suffering? We have come today to entertain a single idea, not as a theological concept, but as a living, breathing truth for your own experience. We are not here to discuss a man of history, but the Christ of your own being. The event on the cross was the final, outer symbol of an inner activity that must take place in you, and when it does, the universe itself bends to acknowledge it. The world believes it knows what was finished. It thinks it was a life, a mission, a period of teaching. But I am here to tell you that what was finished was the dream of separation itself. The entire belief that you are a child of flesh, subject to sin, sickness, and death, that was the veil that was torn from top to bottom. That you believe yourself to be the one that struggles and strives, that fails and succeeds, that is born and will die, that identity was crucified, was finished, so that the true I, the I that is one with the Father, could be revealed as your only identity. When you touch this truth, not as an intellectual agreement, but as a palpable fire in the depths of your soul, your world ceases to be a place of punishment and reward. It becomes a transparency through which the divine flows. Problems do not get solved. They are revealed as having no foundation in reality. The need for healing disappears when you realize that which is being healed was never your true self to begin with. You stop trying to become spiritual and you rest in the shocking, glorious fact that you are, and always have been, spirit itself, manifest. This is not a truth to be believed. It is a truth to be lived. It is a truth that demands everything of you, for it asks you to relinquish the very self you have spent a lifetime protecting. But in that surrender, you do not lose yourself. You find the self that was never lost. Therefore, let this not be a conversation you leave behind when you depart from this place. Let it be the ignition of a sacred fire within you. If this resonance has touched a place of knowing within you, I call you to act. Let your engagement be a sacred seal upon your own commitment to this inner journey. Become a living part of this community of light by subscribing to this channel. Let your subscription be a vow, a silent affirmation that you are choosing to walk this path of conscious embodiment. And now I ask you to make a declaration in the comments below. Do not use words, for words can limit. Simply comment with the number 7. Let that number be your symbol, a sacred acknowledgement that you are ready for the completion of the old and the full revelation of the new, the perfect activity of God realized in you. Go now, not in peace, but in power, knowing that within you it is already finished. We have stood in the shadow of that great symbol, looking up, believing the event was one of sacrifice for a sinful world. But I ask you to look deeper, to peer past the wood and the nails and the physical drama, and to perceive the infinite, spiritual truth being unveiled. The crucifixion was not the purpose. It was merely the final, fiery catalyst for a revelation that was meant to shatter the very foundations of human consciousness. The words, "It is finished," were not a sigh of relief from a weary man. They were the ultimate declaration of a completed spiritual work, a thunderous announcement from the very heart of being itself. This is the inner meaning we must grasp. For to remain at the level of the historical narrative is to admire the container while missing the priceless wine within. Think of your own life for a moment. Consider a problem that has plagued you for years, a recurring anxiety, a chronic pain, a pattern of failed relationships. You have likely spent immense energy trying to solve it, to fix it, to heal it. You have applied remedies and strategies, all from the standpoint that the problem is real, and you are a separate self, struggling against it. This is the level of the outer event, the level of the crucifixion as a physical tragedy. It is real to the senses, but it is not the ultimate truth. The inner meaning is the realization that arrives like a lightning bolt. The problem itself was rooted in a misperception of who you are. The anxiety was never a core part of your being. It was a shadow cast by the belief in separation from the divine source. The moment you touch the truth of your oneness, the problem, while it may still flicker in appearance, is stripped of its power and its reality. Its foundation is gone. This is what was finished. The entire paradigm of a life lived from the outside, in a life of reacting to a world of effects, was brought to a conclusive end in that supreme moment of spiritual understanding. Jesus did not demonstrate how to die as a man. He demonstrated how the belief in being a mortal man could die to reveal the eternal Christ. The tears, the suffering, the betrayal, these were the final, grueling scenes in the play of Duality. The curtain came down with, "It is finished," and the audience, that is, your own human consciousness, is invited to awaken from the dream and realize it was never truly separate from the actor, which is the one divine I am. When you begin to live from this inner meaning, your entire relationship with daily existence transforms. You no longer pray to a distant God to fix your life. Instead, you turn within in a deep, silent acknowledgement, abiding in the truth that the harmony, the wholeness, and the perfection of the Father are already the substance of your being. You do not deny the appearance of a broken body or an empty bank account, but you recognize it as the outer veil. You place your attention not on the veil, but on the truth behind it. You stand firm, as he did, against the temptations to believe in the power of the world, the flesh, or the devil. You stand until the appearance yields, not because you fought it, but because you saw through it. This is the practical power of this principle. The argument with your spouse is no longer just an argument. It is an opportunity to see the Christ in the other, past the human personality. The financial lack is no longer a crisis. It is a call to rely utterly on the infinite substance of your true source, not your employer or your investments. You stop trying to become good or spiritual or holy, and you begin to express the goodness, the spirit, and the holiness that you already are in your oneness with the Father. The striving ceases. The struggle is finished. What remains is a life of grace, a spontaneous flow of divine adjustment, where your needs are met from within your own being because you have realized yourself to be one with the source of all supply. And so we come to the very heart of the matter, the seismic shift that this realization triggers within the depths of your own awareness. To understand what was truly finished is to feel the very ground of your identity begin to tremble and then give way entirely, revealing not a void, but a foundation of unshakable rock. The entire laborious and painful sense of separation, the foundational H of the human experience that whispers you are alone, a fragile creature adrift in a hostile universe, disconnected from your source and from your own being. This was the great illusion that was brought to its conclusive end. This is not a philosophical concept. It is the most practical truth you will ever encounter. Every single moment of anxiety, every flutter of fear in the middle of the night, every pang of loneliness in a crowded room, every instance of jealousy or resentment is a direct symptom of this core belief in separation. You feel separate from your good, separate from safety, separate from love, separate from God. Your entire life, until this point of awakening, has likely been a frantic, often unconscious, attempt to bridge this perceived gap. You have sought in relationships, in accomplishments, in wealth, in accolades, the proof that you are whole, that you are connected, that you are loved. And yet, every external solution eventually crumbles because it is an attempt to fix a problem that does not exist in reality, only in your belief. When the truth of "it is finished" dawns within you, it does not add another piece of knowledge to your collection. It systematically dismantles the collector. The feeling of being an isolated self, a soul trapped inside a body, navigating a world of other separate selves, simply loses its credibility. It is seen for the mirage it always was. You look at a tree, and you no longer see an object separate from you. You perceive a singular expression of life, of which your own awareness is an inseparable part. You sit with a friend in grief, and you do not feel you are comforting someone outside of yourself. You feel a shared being, a unified consciousness, experiencing one of its own movements. The barrier between in here and out there becomes transparent, and then it vanishes. Consider the profound implications in your daily life. You are about to enter a difficult conversation, and the old fear arises, the fear of conflict, of rejection. This fear is born entirely from the sense of separation, your small self versus their self. But from the realized state of oneness, you enter that conversation not as a defender of a fragile identity, but as a clear, open channel for a higher wisdom to operate. You speak, but you also listen from a place of unity, and the conversation ceases to be a battle and becomes a dance of a single intelligence finding its own harmony. Or you face a financial uncertainty. The panic that grips you is the voice of the separated self, convinced it is cut off from the source of supply, believing it must scramble and claw its way to security. But when you abide in the truth that your very being is one with infinite substance, the panic is replaced by a quiet, unshakable knowing. This knowing does not idly sit by. It activates a divine intelligence within you, presenting ideas, opening doors, and guiding your steps in ways the frantic, separated mind could never conceive. You are not a beggar pleading for supply. You are the very activity of supply, individualizing itself as your life and your experience. The end of separation is the end of the interpreter of bad news. The event may occur. The diagnosis may be given. The loss may be reported. But the consciousness that receives it is no longer a vulnerable, isolated entity. It is a boundless awareness, a presence that can encompass the appearance without being shattered by it, because it knows itself to be the very substance from which all appearances form and dissolve. The drama continues to play on the screen, but you are no longer a character in the movie believing the bullets can hit you. You have remembered you are the light of the projector, the silent, sourceless source from which all images emerge, and in which they have their only reality. This realization of oneness, this dissolution of the imagined barrier, inevitably brings us to the most personal and profound revelation of all. If the sense of a separate self was the great illusion that was finished, then what remains? Who are you when the veil is lifted? The truth that rushes in to fill the space left by the departed ghost of separation is both majestic and humbling. Your true identity is the Christ. Not a man who walked the earth 2 millennia ago, but the eternal, divine Son, the one begotten of the Father before all worlds. This is the I Am that has always been your true being, hidden beneath the layers of a story you believed about yourself. A story of a name, a history, a collection of successes and failures. To grasp this is to understand that the entire human journey is not about improving the person you think you are. It is not about making the ego more spiritual, more loving, or more successful. That is merely polishing the cage. The radical truth is that the cage itself is an illusion. The work is one of recognition, of ceasing to identify with the character in the play and remembering you are the author of the play, the light by which it is seen, and the silent awareness in which it all unfolds. You are not a human being having a sporadic spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being, the Christ, having a temporary human experience. Let this truth land not as a lofty theory, but as a practical force in your life. Consider a moment when you are gripped by a sense of inadequacy, perhaps before a major presentation at work. The old identity, the one you constructed, whispers of past failures and the possibility of future judgment. It feels utterly real, but now you have this key. You can pause, and in that silent pause, consciously withdraw your identification from that trembling, fearful persona. You can affirm, not as a mantra, but as a deep internal turning. This is not who I am. I am not this limited, anxious creature. My true identity is the Christ, the perfect expression of divine intelligence and confidence. You do not say this to bolster the ego. You say it to deny the ego's very reality. And from that place of settled knowing, you will find a wisdom and a poise speaking through you that the personal, you, could never have mustered, or reflect on a relationship that causes you continual friction. You have tried to change the other person, or you have tried to change yourself to accommodate them. Both approaches fail because they operate on the level of two separate selves negotiating a truce. The transformational approach is to recognize the Christ in them. This does not mean ignoring bad behavior or becoming a doormat. It means looking past the surface personality, the very thing you are learning to do with yourself, and acknowledging the same divine I am that is their core being. When you relate to the Christ in another, you invoke it. You call it forth. The dynamic is no longer person to person, but Christ to Christ. The conflicts that seemed intractable between two separate selves simply cannot exist in that unified field. This is why healing becomes natural. You do not heal the body. The body, as a material object, is part of the outer picture. You turn your attention to the truth that the Christ, your true identity, is incorporeal, untouched by the beliefs of age, decay, or disease. You abide as that. You let that truth shine, and as it does, it reorganizes the appearance of the body much as light reorganizes shadow. The power is not in a focused intention to fix a problem, but in the radiant acknowledgement that there is no problem where the Christ is, and the Christ is all there is. Your life ceases to be a project of self-construction and becomes a gentle, continuous unfolding of a divine already completeness. Every challenge, every joy, every interaction becomes another canvas upon which your true self is revealed, not to the world, but to your own awakening consciousness. This recognition of your true identity as the Christ naturally and effortlessly initiates a profound reorientation in how you engage with the world of appearances. The frantic struggle to solve problems, to fix your life, to heal your body, or to mend your circumstances begins to fall away, not through force of will, but because the very foundation of those problems has been removed. You are no longer a separate entity battling against an external universe. Therefore, the entire paradigm of problem solving becomes obsolete. It is replaced by something far more subtle and infinitely more powerful, the act of realizing truth. This is the shift from manipulating effects to acknowledging the one cause. The world operates on the level of effect. It sees a sick body and rushes to treat the sickness. It sees a depleted bank account and scrambles to fill it. It sees a broken relationship and seeks to negotiate, plead, or demand a repair. All of this activity, while often well-intentioned, reinforces the belief in the reality of the problem. It is like trying to smooth out the reflections in a disturbed pond by pressing down on the water with your hands. Your very activity creates more ripples. The solution is not in the water, but in becoming still, allowing the turbulence to subside naturally and reveal the clear, undisturbed image beneath. Your inner stillness is not passive. It is the most active force in the universe, for it is the activity of truth realizing itself. Let this principle illuminate a situation you may be facing right now. Imagine you receive a troubling medical report. The human reaction, born of the sense of separation, is immediate panic. This panic leads to a frantic search for solutions, second opinions, new treatments, desperate prayers for intervention. All of your energy is poured into the appearance of the disease. But from the state of realized oneness, your approach is inverted. You do not ignore the report, but you recognize it for what it is: an appearance, an effect, a shadow cast by a universal belief in fear and mortality. You turn your attention completely away from the shadow and toward the light. You abide in the truth that your life is one with the infinite, eternal life of God. You rest in the unshakable, knowing that the Christ, your true identity, is whole, perfect, and free. You are not a sick person trying to become well. You are the embodiment of wholeness, and you are realizing that truth now. This realization, this inner standing in truth, is not a hope for a future healing. It is the very presence of harmony asserting itself, and it will reorganize the appearance of the body to conform to this higher reality. Apply this to a relationship filled with conflict. The old way was to analyze what they did wrong, to rehearse your defense, to strategize your next conversation. This is trying to smooth the water by stirring it more. The new way is to withdraw all that mental and emotional energy from the drama of the two separate selves. You go within and you realize the truth of oneness. You acknowledge the single, divine life expressing itself as both you and the other. You hold that truth in consciousness. You do not do this to manipulate the other person into changing. You do it because it is the reality, and you are choosing to align with reality instead of the appearance. As you maintain this stance, you will find the energy of the conflict dissipating. The other person may change, or they may not. But your experience of the relationship will be transformed because you are no longer engaging with it from the level of the problem. You have shifted from the battlefield to the citadel of truth, and from that vantage point, the war outside loses all meaning. This is how you live without solving problems. The moment a challenge appears, you do not meet it on its own terms. You do not grant it the reality it demands. Instead, you turn within and you become the silence that knows the answer before the question is fully formed. You become the peace that understands this turbulence is not your own. You become the abundance that sees this appearance of lack as a mirage soon to fade. Your life becomes a continuous, gentle unfolding of grace, where needs are met not because you fought for them, but because you recognized they were already fulfilled in the rich, infinite nature of your own Christ being. This shift from striving to realizing brings us to the very core of a lived spiritual life. It reveals a secret that has been hidden in plain sight. You are not on a journey toward a spiritual goal. You are not in the process of becoming the Christ, of achieving enlightenment, or of earning your way into the kingdom of heaven. Such concepts are the final, subtle traps of the ego, which is always willing to become a spiritual ego if it can just maintain the illusion of a seeker on a path. The thunderous truth announced by, "It is finished," is that the path is over. The goal has been reached. You are, right here and right now, in the very center of the kingdom. The work is not one of acquisition, but of acceptance. It is not about building a spiritual self, but about ceasing to deny the self that eternally is. This is the difference between a life of labor and a life of grace. The labor is the exhausting effort of the personal sense of I, trying to become what it believes it is not. Grace is the effortless flow of the divine through you when you stop insisting on being the door and simply acknowledge yourself as the being. Think of a pipe carrying water. The pipe does not strive to become wet. It simply is the conduit for wetness. It does not try to generate water. It allows the water to flow through it. Your true identity is that conduit for the divine. The moment you stop trying to generate your own spirituality, your own goodness, your own power, and you instead consent to be the open channel, the infinite resources of the Father flood your experience with everything that is needed. Let this truth dismantle a common frustration, the feeling that your meditation or prayer is not working. You sit in silence, striving for an experience of peace, fighting thoughts, trying to become spiritual. This is the pipe trying to manufacture its own water. The real practice is to release all striving. You sit and you acknowledge, I am not here to achieve peace. I am here because I am peace. The infinite stillness of God is my core identity now. You do not seek a future experience. You accept the present reality. And in that surrender, the peace that was always there, buried under your efforts, naturally and powerfully rises to the surface. The same applies to expressing love. You do not need to try to love a difficult person. Trying implies you do not already possess the love required. Instead, you turn within and acknowledge, God is love. I am one with God. Therefore, I am love. I am the very activity of divine love in this situation. You then allow that love to flow through you as understanding, as compassion, as a firm boundary if necessary, but always as grace, not as grim determination. This understanding transforms your relationship with lack of any kind. The old consciousness prays for supply, for healing, for solutions, from the standpoint of not having them. This is the pipe praying for water, unaware it is already connected to the ocean. The new consciousness begins from the finished truth. You do not pray for money. You give thanks that the infinite substance of the universe is the very fabric of your being, and you open yourself to be the point through which it expresses as your daily needs met in divine order. You do not pray for healing. You give thanks that wholeness is the eternal truth of your being, and you rest in that truth until the appearance of the body conforms. Your entire life ceases to be a petition and becomes a celebration. You are not becoming spiritual. You are realizing that every thought, every action, every breath is already the sacred activity of spirit, individualizing itself as your unique and precious experience. The separation between the spiritual and the mundane vanishes. Washing dishes becomes a sacrament when you do it as the Christ. Conducting a business meeting becomes a holy encounter when you approach it as the open conduit for divine intelligence. There is no higher activity to attain, only this present moment to infuse with the conscious acknowledgement of what you already and eternally are. And so we arrive at the natural, inevitable conclusion of this inner awakening. This is not a truth to be admired from a distance, stored away as a comforting philosophy for a quiet Sunday morning. It is a truth that demands embodiment. It calls for a conscious decision to live from this realized state, to make it the very lens through which you perceive and interact with every facet of your existence. This is the final step, the call to conscious embodiment. It is the choice to stop being a student of the truth and to start being the living expression of it, to allow the infinite I Am to walk, talk, and act through this individual form you call yourself. This is where the teaching moves from the abstract to the intensely practical, where the rubber meets the road of your daily life. Conscious embodiment means you are no longer a passive recipient of the world's conditions. You become an active center of divine adjustment, not by fighting appearances, but by holding steadfastly to the truth behind them. You are the light that, by its very nature, dispels the darkness without ever having to struggle against it. Your very presence, when anchored in this knowing, becomes a healing, harmonizing force in your world. The world does not change you. You, as the embodied Christ, change the world by revealing its inherent unreality, by seeing through the veil of sin, sickness, and death to the perfect spiritual substance that is all that truly exists. Consider the moment you wake up. The old consciousness might be greeted by a wave of anxiety about the day's demands. The call to embodiment is to meet that anxiety not as a personal problem, but as a universal belief knocking at your door. You do not fight it. You consciously embody the truth. You stand within yourself and affirm, I am not this anxiety. I am the peace of God, manifest here and now. You abide in that truth until the feeling yields to your knowing. You are embodying Christ, consciousness. You are making it flesh. Now, you go to your workplace. A project is in chaos, deadlines are looming, and tension is high. The old self would react with stress, with frantic effort, with blame. The call to embodiment is to pause and become still amidst the storm. You consciously become the open channel for a wisdom that is not your own. You listen from that place of inner silence. The ideas that come, the words you speak, the decisions you make are no longer generated from a limited personal mind trying to control an external situation. They are the spontaneous activity of divine mind expressing itself as order, clarity, and right action through you. You are not doing spiritual work. You are being spirit at work. Or You find yourself in a conversation where you are being criticized or misunderstood. The impulse of the personal self is to defend, to justify, to retaliate. The call to embodiment is to see the Christ in the other person, even when their human personality is shouting. It is to respond not from the hurt of the ego, but from the boundless love of your true nature. This does not make you a weak pushover. It makes you an immovable pillar of truth. Your calm, loving, but unwavering presence in the face of conflict is a far more powerful force than any angry retort. You are embodying the truth that only love is real. This is how you answer the call. You take this understanding off the meditation cushion and you live it in the grocery store, in the traffic jam, in the doctor's office, and in the quiet of your own home. You make the choice, moment by moment, to be the transparency for the divine. You are the living proof, the walking demonstration that the work is finished. Your life becomes your ministry, not through preaching, but through being. Every healed relationship, every harmonious resolution, every moment of unexpected grace becomes a silent sermon, a testament to the power of a truth that has been fully embraced and courageously lived. You are not waiting for a second coming, you are it.